Roll
Okay, welcome, folks. Welcome to the October 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Fall River Redevelopment Authority. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recording or transmission are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Start with the roll call. John Erickson.
Louis Gonzalez here.
Ron Rusin? Here.
Ann Keen.
Joan Medeiros could not attend tonight. We also have participating Sarah Page, our Executive Director, John Copland, Legal Counsel, Kenny Viola, Administrative Consultant, and Karen Martin, Project Manager. First item is to approve the minutes from September 25. Any questions on those? If not, I'll entertain a motion to
So moved.
accept. Second?
Second.
John Erickson, yes.
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
Ann Keen, yes.
Thank you. Next item is the October warrant, which Joan has gone through. Totals $96,775. Any questions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the warrant for October 2024 in the amount of $96,775.29.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. John Erickson, yes.
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
Ann Keen, yes.
Okay. Next item. A few weeks ago, Sarah, Joan, and I got together with our long overdue review, and there's an amendment to the employment agreement for Sarah. Entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the employment agreement.
Sorry, I haven't read it yet. I did print it, but I haven't. So this is going from starting January of this year, which already passed,
Yep.
and it's going for 1 year?
No.
No, till 2026.
October 4th, 2026,
Well,
that's the term, yeah.
Extends it.
That's the whole, I've usually, since the beginning, I've had a 3-year contract, but there's a review
Yeah,
that can occur each year.
okay. Why are we doing it a year and 10 months? Any reason why we ended October 4th, 2026?
Well, my original start date was October 4th.
That's the anniversary
And-
date.
And so then my increase was moved to January 1st because of just time. And Joan and Johnny suggested that we make up for that.
Okay. Motion to approve, motion to have John sign this on our behalf, the amendment to the employment agreement for Sarah.
Second?
Second.
John Erickson, yes.
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes.
Ann Keen, yes.
Thank you. Karen's going to update the audit, 2023 fiscal year.
Yes, the 2023 fiscal year end audit. We were close to having it finalized, and then when it went through the quality control QA/QC within the auditor's office, they are recommending that we change how we're recognizing the revenue from the school, 2501 South Main Street, as a purchase versus lease. Joan, Sarah, and I met with them yesterday to discuss it. It's a little up in the air how we really want to do that. The GASB standards actually go into play in 2025, it looks like, but they're recommending that you handle these type of capital assets that you purchase for potential sale in a different way as of current. So we're going to hem that, we're going to look that over a little bit more detail and determine, make a final decision, and then we'll be able to finalize the audit. So hopefully by next meeting we'll be able to say it's a wrap.
So if they want you to change it as if current, why can't we accept 2023?
So part of the problem is we bought a building. It's a
Yeah.
capital asset. And it was, we're leasing it to the school department.
Yeah.
So that's, deferred inflow of money.
Yeah.
And which we would just take over time as each month goes by.
Yeah.
What they're saying is it's a building that you could potentially be reselling, and that was probably the intent of why you bought the building, that you should actually count it as a sale in 2023, as opposed to deferring all the income to come in over time. And so it's more like substance over form, and it's just a matter of It's purely accounting auditing,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the real world of how you handle it and the legalese of it and all. So that's what they're recommending right now.
There'll be no more tax consequences if we do it all in 1 year?
We don't pay taxes, so it
Fine.
doesn't,
Okay.
so it doesn't really impact us in that way. If we did, there'd be a much, these accounting standards are for, government, state, municipalities, so, none of them are taxed, so it's a little bit different than if it was you, me, or anyone else in business, so.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next item, excuse me, 1151 Innovation Way Map, W19 Lot 85, the two covenant waiver requests, which is the Kelly Engineering attachment with the two waivers regarding frontage setback and loading facilities. If there aren't any questions on that, I'll entertain a motion to approve those two waiver requests.
Are we okay with this?
Yeah.
Okay. No, the
Well-
trees are in the right place, I don't know where the trees are supposed to be, I don't know where the parking space would be.
Yeah,
They're
well-
facing the right way.
I had brought it to you before they did this more appropriate waiver request. And since then, they've done a more extensive landscape plan. It clearly shows a good buffer, and they are including irrigation. And I've gone over the the covenants with them because they kept saying, oh, we're meeting all the covenants. And then I'd say, well, are you meeting this? And so they're agreeing that this is the only requests of waivers that they're making now, and that they will give us plans when they give them to the building inspector for the building permit, and at that point, they will potentially ask for other waivers, but they know the few things that aren't covered yet that they have to put in their final plans. So we've gone back and forth, and I have a letter here that Johnny can sign that specifically states at the bottom that we look forward to reviewing the final plans when they're submitted to us and for final approval. So I think we're covered in every way.
Why aren't they asking for all their waivers now?
They're not allowed to. Well, they have to go through a final approval, and
Final approval by who?
us.
Okay.
It's
right.
in this covenants. I have memorized
Right,
these
but I
covenants by
understand,
now.
but usually all the waiver requests come at once. Why are they parceling them out?
Because as you can see in the covenants, they have the right to ask for, tell me it's okay to build my building in this configuration, which is really what this is about. Can they have truck parking on the side? And they have to get written approval from us. So they want that written approval now. And then they haven't shown us anything that demonstrates it will be LEED. They haven't put the bike rack on and a couple of other things. So they really need to know that they can keep spending money on architects, and we're not going to come back and say, oh, you're putting the building in the wrong place. So, and the way the covenants are written, it clearly has a couple of things up front that say you need, written approval for this if you're going to flip your building around. So, and then pages down, it says you have to bring your final plans. So, I think they have every right to ask for these two waivers, and then maybe they'll have more, maybe they won't.
Where are they in site plan review?
Yeah.
They're in the middle of it. They sent me all of Dan's questions and issues. He said that he believed that they were conforming to, zoning, but also the
Site plan review.
covenants, but also the covenants for the park.
But
So-
Dan doesn't
Dan
make that
doesn't, yeah.
determination.
No.
No.
He doesn't, but he
But you would think,
guides them.
you would say that if they have plans advanced enough for site plan review,
Yeah.
that they would be asking for those covenants now, or those waivers now, as part of their site plan review. Because the plans for site plan review are pretty advanced.
Right, that's not what the covenants say. The covenants say that they have to give us their final plans when they give them to the building department.
I don't think it says that.
It does.
I don't
I'll
know.
show it to you. I brought it because I expected you to.
Uh-oh.
Well,
She stood up.
I wrote those, so I
You
don't
might
know.
laugh.
It's been some time.
A long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
Just yesterday.
It happens to the best of us, Kenny.
No,
We
I
forget things.
presume.
So
I
if we do
know
a
you
motion on
think that
this,
they should
are we
ask
gonna
for
do
them
it
all at the same time,
to
but that's
approve the
not really
covenant
what-
waiver request pending
This
approval of
requires.
final plans?
Yeah, if
Okay.
you're only doing two pieces of it.
Okay.
They gotta come back.
All right, perfect.
Because they haven't
Because
finished
I can
the
see,
design
because
for a week.
site plan review, I give them a plan for a one-unit building, they come back with 10, 12 different requests. Maybe that's what they're thinking, that, they don't want to do one request because Danny's going to change. Danny doesn't ever accept the first one. Never happens. And then even on the second one, he says, and then after that, before you do a building, I want you to do this. I'm like, I can't do that. It's like the engineer to do it all at once, and it just aggravates you, but it happens.
So what am I looking at here? Because it says upon receipt of adequate and sufficient plans and specs, the FRA shall within 60 days after notify the grantee of its writing for approval.
And at the bottom, it says the plans need to be given to us at the same time they're submitted for a building permit, and they're not there yet.
It says such approval, however, will be conditioned upon certification by grantee that the same plans and specs as submitted to the FRA for approval have been submitted to the building inspector.
And then we have 2 months to approve them.
I don't think it's a big deal, I just never seen it done like this. Usually they have all, they have all their waivers up front, right? Because now we're partially approving waivers subject that, I don't know.
Well, we're approving 2 waivers when we haven't approved their project. So we could come back and say, well, great, we approved those waivers, but we're not going to approve it because it's not LEED or something else.
Okay.
Ready for a motion?
Yes.
Always.
I need a motion.
Move that 1151 Innovation Way, map W19, lot 185, covenant waive request be approved pending approval of the final plans by this board.
Second?
Second.
John Anderson, yes?
Louis Condos, yes.
Ron Rusin, yes?
And Keen, yes.
Thank you.
That cover everything, Ken? I think that covers everything.
Yeah, I think as long as it's pending approval, final approval. Subject to final approval.
Karen, you gonna talk about Merton Pier?
Yes. So we are going to pull the water meter down at City Pier on Tuesday, the 29th, and then once that's done, I'll notify the irrigation guys to blow out all the lines and close it up for the winter. And I talked to Tim today, the landscape guy. He's planning to have everything cut down and cleaned up, final by Thanksgiving. So it'll all be put to sleep soon. The environmental closeout, Sarah's working with Joe on just some final revisions, so I'm really hoping by the next meeting, I can say that it's been submitted, the final permanent solution. So we're down to the wire on that. In cathodic protection, we had our kickoff meeting today. We met with Carlos from FOTH, the dive team, and the cathodic protection specialist. Say that 10 times fast. And the plan is that they're hoping right now the diver's just got to go back and double check his schedule with his team, but they're going to try to get out there next week to do the site survey. And then once the site survey is done, they'll get that information to the cathodic protection engineer, and then he'll start drawing up his design documents, and we're hoping to have a draft by the middle end of December. So that should kind of progress along nicely.
Will be done this year or will be done in spring?
The design. So once we get the design in like a shape where it's good to go, we'll have to start the permitting, we just have to put the Concom, and we have to put a notice in with the Army Corps of Engineer. So we're hoping to get bid documents pulled together and a bid package ready for like May, I think we said today. So that's our, kind of our target.
So is the site survey that they were gonna do next week, is that all underwater, or?
There'll be, actually it's gonna be Carlos will be at top, and he's gonna chalk off, I think they do it like every 50 feet.
Okay.
And then what they do is, he does some magnetic thing on the top where they send, they figure out the depth to the mud underneath, and then, the diver's down low, and he pops up and tells them what to write, then they go to the next 50 feet, and he goes
Oh, I
down,
see.
checks it, pops up. It's, kind of tedious. They're gonna actually, they're gonna push a dolly around on the site, so the guy up the top will have the dolly, and so they're not gonna actually use a boat. The diver's gonna go right off the dock and into
really?
so he's not even gonna bring a boat. So, and they'll have tanks in the truck. So, yeah, they won't need a boat for that, so that's good.
Anything new on Northfield?
Yes, Northfield. We just got today, I was hoping to have something to really show and talk about tonight, but we've, for the past 2 days, had some issues with getting copies of the plans printed, but it's resolved. So we got the plans this afternoon, and I'm just gonna we're gonna start reviewing them. I talked to Bill at Beta, we're going to have like an initial round of comments back to them next week, and then we're targeting to have something to really show everybody at the next meeting.
Oh, good. Sarah, do you want to talk about Flint and Duval and the ERP?
Yes. So Ken and I had a call with Emily Innes of Innes Associates to talk about where we should go with the NEPA requirements and their certificate for our environmental EENF, our environmental notification form. And they're requiring that we do a whole other form for them. And that's an environmental impact report. And they pulled out lots of things that we mentioned that the city is doing. And so we're thinking that one way to make this far less complex is to push back and say, while we mentioned the city is doing these things, they're not in the purview of the Redevelopment Authority, and we cannot be responsible for commenting on these. And so we realized that part of the problem is that we may have given them more information than we should have, because we did that whole neighborhood roadmap for revitalization. What?
Nothing, I've just noticed you don't have a microphone,
Oh,
but
John will share.
oh, you're back.
Hey.
There aren't enough, are there? So, so we included the whole roadmap for neighborhood revitalization that really had a lot of program elements. And they pulled those, and they're elements that really require the city to agree with them ultimately and put these programs in place. And so we're thinking now that we should resubmit our urban renewal plan, because they allow you to do that. They say, if you've revised your urban renewal plan since you sent it in with your first, your first documents, then put in the new one. And if we remove that, there are a lot of things that would no longer apply. And we put that in as an attachment, so or an appendix. So one of the things that really is getting balled up is that we were told we had to pick something in the area to do this RMAT test. So an engineer runs it through a computer and looks at You know, some of the issues are how many years is this structural change going to last, and will it last through climate change? And so we took Stafford Square, which we mentioned a few places in there, and had engineers run that and included that. So now they want all kinds of analysis about Stafford Square, which is not our project. And, you know, we could engage with the city and the water department and try to work through all of that. But Ty and Bond says it'll be $20,000 to $25,000 to go through that, and that's not even our time or the city's time. So we have a few different options, and we haven't decided yet exactly which one to pursue. We could also limit the area of the urban renewal plan, but that would require that we redo all the maps. So, so we need to talk with Ty and Bond and just figure out what we think our most strategic approach will be. And I guess I should say, you know, we looked at just don't proceed with the urban renewal plan because this is so crazy. Proceed with it to the extent that we get city council approval and the housing department's approval, and wait until we decide we really need it completed because it's pending MIPA approval, and or a couple of different ways to try to simplify it. One of the fears with the way that we're thinking about is that they might say, well, since you've so dramatically changed your urban renewal plan, now you need to go back and do your original environmental notification form again. So we need to really analyze this more. Any thoughts on that? You've been nodding a lot, Ann.
No, I just, the whole process of things doesn't always make sense.
I know.
Undoing what has been done to get things to pass.
So that's that update. On the Duval Street Corridor Master Plan, we took Congressman Auchincloss on a tour, and that was really, really good. And he was really interested, and he and his staff are interested in helping in any way they can. So we've done that, and we got a lot of comments back from the public open houses, or the open house, and nothing was really surprising. I think one of the questions that people still have is what the maximum height of buildings will be. And people were asking about the Brightman Street Bridge and how it should be a fishing pier. And there were a lot of comments of various kinds in here, but one that really stood out was wanting to see trees around parking areas and trees around the whole development, some shade trees. One was wanting a rooftop restaurant bar, which people assume will be built into it. One was a fountain. And a couple of people were interested in requiring historic building materials, especially Fall River granite. So that's just a little, nothing that I think we aren't, you know, isn't a possibility, so.
I figured parking would be the big one.
Huh?
I figured parking would be the big one.
Well, there were a lot of questions about parking. Someone commented that it would be good to have parking at the MBTA station as an overflow.
Yeah.
And there weren't as many comments on that as I think we expected. but we bent over backwards to explain where parking would be.
Right. So how did they even find out about the, how did they find out about the train that's going up on it? How did they even know about that? To ask about
We
it?
discussed it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
discussed that, the thing?
Yeah.
Oh, so you said that besides just parking, and maybe over there, then they asked about that overflow?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how they found out, because I didn't know about it.
Well, I don't even think overflow is not decking.
Yeah.
Right, I
No.
mean, I'm not sure that this was referring to the decking, I think
Oh,
it
you were
may
just referring to
have
more
been-
using the parking over there. Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. I didn't realize how they knew the decking was
We
gonna
told her
go
it was a possibility that it would be decked, but there was no certainty about it.
Yeah.
So in terms of the developers, is HYM still tomorrow? Is that Zoom? And then CCF is next week?
November
Early
13th.
November.
Oh, November, okay.
So we are continuing to introduce developers to what we're, our draft master plan, and to get their feedback and hopefully to interest them to potentially pursue it later on when we're at that point.
Did we already do the one with the Providence guys with the P?
That's next week.
That's next week.
That's the Zoom.
That's
Zoom.
next week, okay.
Did Jake,
Got it.
did we ask Jake about if he would, I don't know how to say this, that the redevelopment authority take over the project? Is he in favor of it? Anybody ask him that question? Would he have any decision on that?
I don't think we discussed it.
No? Okay. Do you know if he's in favor of
I
not?
have no idea.
No idea? Would it help if he was in favor of it?
I think we gotta take one step at a time.
Okay.
Sarah, is the downtown ERP different from the one you just discussed?
Yeah.
That's a different status?
Yeah,
Or-
so I haven't really reported much on the downtown urban renewal plan. And there are some new developments that will be useful for us. There's a new TDI fellow, Jim McKeag, who got that TDI district going with us, was promoted, and he's in a much higher position at Mass Development. And they did a serious search and included me in the interview process, along with Mike O'Sullivan and Patty Rigo and Ashley from FRAC. And so we ended up, Mass Development hired Nick Schoenberger, and he's had a few meetings. I know he met with Ken.
I've never,
Oh, you
we're
have?
trying to schedule a meeting.
Okay. I thought it had happened. He has a lot of good experience. He did work in Somerville on their COVID relief fund for small businesses. He did an outdoor dining grant program in Somerville, and he worked with the CDC, the Codman Square CDC, which is a kind of nationally renowned community development corporation. And he has an interest and a lot of experience working on food establishments in downtowns in cities like Fall River. And so they're hoping to build into the space on Troy Street where FRAC and Fall River Mocha is. They're hoping to have some kind of, they're calling it like a food court, where entrepreneurs would have little opportunities to have a cafe or various food offerings. So he's going to be working with the owner of the building and with FRAC to see if that can happen, which would be great, because every time there are events over there, there's not an easy, well, Scotty's is around the corner, but, you know, if you could have a cafe right there, that would be great.
So you mean like in that back room, or?
Yeah, well,
The
there's a
long-
side room that is under construction, and then there's a back room. And it doesn't look like a ton of space, but they believe it's enough space to do something around.
Who's they?
Mass Development is funding it, and
So I guess my point is, why are they making those decisions in a vacuum as opposed, is that the best location? Are there other locations that may be better located?
Well, the other thing I was gonna say is we're putting a partnership back together again. And so the partnership could say, well, that's not the best idea.
That's a little bit off the beaten track there. I'm not sure how many, it's a good building. It's nice for what it's being. I'm just not sure how many people that would, it's not a high traffic area. I mean, if you're gonna sustain a food court or you're gonna sustain something, I think you're gonna need to have more traffic.
So you can talk with him about that.
Yeah,
when
I'm
he
just,
meets with
because
you.
that's the first time here, yeah, so.
I guess it's been in the plans for a while. BCC was interested at one point in bringing their hospitality program there. Part of the thinking is that FRAC is staffing the larger space, and it's a space that Mass Development invested in, and they're willing to, they want to see if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm just saying, the infrastructure for food courts is expensive.
Yeah.
You're talking, depending on how big it is, you could easily be $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
if not more.
And food court may be the wrong name for it. They were talking about communal kitchen, but it's not really, it's not, you can't bring your jelly and go eat jelly there in that kind of communal
Right.
kitchen. So, so it's still very much in the conceptual phase.
Okay.
Thanks.
But it's great to have him here, and the other thing is that the Business Improvement District attempt took a ton of time and energy and kind of derailed some of the other things we were thinking about. So some of that energy is being picked up by the development on Purchase Street, and they're linking with Jerry Donovan's Dunnies, and there's kind of a little group of restaurants there really starting to collaborate on special events and doing things together. So Patty's starting to call it the dining district, and we're hoping to get a number of people who are in that area to get together and expand the partnership that we've had. That is not, the people who were in the original partnership probably aren't the ones who want to be in it now. I think we're assuming you're in it.
I don't know.
Yeah. so-
Nobody's ever, I guess my
Well,
point.
It
people-
died. It really.
Yeah, because
it hasn't
this is the
happened.
first I'm learning about all this, so I have no opinion. Well, I think it's a good idea, I just don't know enough about it to comment intelligently about it. 'cause
Yes.
I
So
don't know
the
anything about
thinking is we'll have a meeting with people in December and invite
Okay.
you and a bunch of other people and say, okay, we had an old partnership, do you want to help think about a new approach? And we'll see. You all have signed on to the partnership agreement originally, and then an amendment of it a year or so ago. So, so that was kind of our formal involvement in it.
Do you know if the new Viva location there, is that actually open yet?
Yeah,
It
it
is.
is, and they're redoing they're creating a patio,
Oh, okay.
and that patio will be able to be a place for little events and music, and so that helps create this concept of a dining area that you can go over to Tequila Lime, and then you can stop by and listen to some music and go to the Belmont, and That's the thinking, but it's very early.
Good. Anybody have any other questions? If not, the chair makes a finding that an open session would have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. The purpose of the executive session is to approve the executive session minutes from September 25th, 2024. Discuss strategy with respect to potential real estate transactions for properties located at Assessor Map 22, Lot 9 on Duval Street at the corner of Turner Street and at 45 Anawan Street, Fall River. I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session, and we will not return to open session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session with the intention of not coming back.
Second?
Second.
John Erickson, yes?
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
Von Rusin, yes?
Ann Keene, yes.
Thanks, everybody.